Call to order the Finance Committee meeting for March the 9th, 2019. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of February the 19th, 2019.
After reviewing the minutes, are there any additions or corrections?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Jenny Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 1 passed. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments February the 14th, 2019 through February 27th, 2019.
Do we have a report from the Purchasing Committee?
Purchasing Committee did meet this evening and did review claims, and I would recommend approval of claims. Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the claims. Are there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Jenny Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2 passed. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval to accept lowest bid from Yellow House Machinery Company for the purchase of one John Deere 310 SL backhoe loader in the amount of $94,803.59, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley?
Yes, Mr. Chairman of the committee. This is from the Special Projects Fund that was recently approved. $160,000 was for street equipment. This is a much-needed backhoe. We got Sourcewell, which is NJPA, formerly NJPA, quotes, and Yellow House to John Deere was the lowest quote. We are going to have to bring this back next week because we didn't put the information in there about Sourcewell. So we're asking for no action this week, and we'll correct it for the meeting next week. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or discussion?
Is this John Deere local, or is it one from somewhere else?
No, it's not local.
Make a motion that we move it forward to council with no action.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Jenny Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 3 passed, and with it passing, that is the final item on our Finance Committee.
Excuse me, let me get to my agenda. Call to order the Public Works Committee meeting for this evening, March the 4th, 2019. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of February the 19th, 2019.
Do we have any corrections or any questions on the minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Jenny Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Cale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of change order number 1 to construction contract with Cook Consulting, LLC for the Port Lift Station Replacement Project to install 12 electrical junction boxes and an additional amount of $42,786, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee. This is change order number 1 for our Port Lift Station projects. Mr. Updike is here with a short presentation to go through it real quick.
Okay. Good evening. I'll be quick here. This is a little bit of an overview of just some. Of all the projects. I'll start with that. With the port station replacement, there's 4 lift stations along the port. We call them that because they're along the river. They were built in the 60s, and this project's replacing all 4 of those. And one's at Chandler, and then Gibson, and then 62, and then up at the port. This is just a little bit of review of where we are on all 7 of the consent order wastewater projects. The junction project was completed back in November. West side sewer is about 20% done. North side sewer is ready to bid. The northeast sewer, the big one out at Kurt's Mall area, that's ready for bid. The wastewater treatment plant phase 1 is about 30% complete. And the port lift stations that we're talking about here on this change order are about 65% complete. And the port lift station number 4 is also a Cook project bid separately because of had a little delay in getting the site. That's about 10% complete. Here's just a picture. These aren't hard to take pictures of these because everything's underground. But this is the lift station number 1 down south. The structure's actually in the back there. It's a very large, deep, 35-foot deep well with 3 large pumps in it. This is number 2. It's furthest along. We asked the contractor to do this one first. You can see the lift station in the background. I've got a new generator there. All of them have new generators. We use natural gas if it was available, so you don't have to change out diesel when it gets old. This is just south of US 62. This is the lift station 3. Again, it's a construction site, but the structure in the back there is the proposed pump station. What we're proposing here is to make the stations more serviceable is putting a junction box so that they can, between the pumps and the panel, so that they can unhook those and pull the pumps without having to pull out a whole lot of cable there. So it's a $42,786 change order. It was not in the bid documents. That's about 2% of the contract price. We are 65% through with this. We had a $100,000 reserve for contingencies, so that'll leave us with $57,000. We started with a contingency of about $300,000, and we lowered that after the bids were taken because, you know, at that point we shouldn't have that many changes. So we're in good shape. So we recommend approval of this change order. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Mr. Updike, is this something that we're going to do in the future to the future pump stations and stuff? Do this setup since it's something we're doing now?
You're talking about the overall replacement?
Yes.
We're going to get on that northeast project. We're going to eliminate. There's a really big pump station at the old stockyards. If you drive on Beacon Street, we're getting rid of that one. There's one on Keaton Street, just west of Brockway. You know where the low spot is there. You know, it floods right there. And then there's one at Kurtz Mall. If you go back behind Kurtz Mall, there's a bad one. We're getting rid of all 3 of those. We're taking them to the north. This is the north, and building a new station like one of these, all underground with a standby generator and all that. So we're going to get rid of 3 other ones and get this. So, yeah.
And it'll be so they can pull the pumps and stuff?
Yeah, we caught that, and on number 4, that was a separate bid.
Yes.
We made that change before that was bid. So,
sounds like a good plan.
yep.
To understand, so these junction boxes are going to be moved real close to the lift station pumps, closer.
Right.
And that somehow minimizes, when you pull the pump, the...
Yeah, the cable's just too long to pull out of there.
Gotcha.
And this sounds like a lot of money, but there's a lot of stainless steel junction boxes, and the cables are about that big around, and there's 4 for each pump,
So
times 3 pumps, times 3 pump stations.
So
it's a lot.
maintenance-wise, going into the future, this is a good, smart move.
Absolutely, yeah.
One last question. Are you going to put any brick and grout at the bottom of any of these lift stations? Or are you kind of moving away from that?
No bricks. No. They get in the pumps. It's not pretty. All these stations they all had 3. The old ones had 3 pumps, and they were down to 1. They're down to 1 pump on every one of them. Number 2 there we showed you has been operating on a standby pump for months. So
When we get these in, are we just kind of bypassing the old lift stations?
we're demolishing them.
But I mean,
Yeah,
they're in
right.
use and then you bypass them.
Right. Go around them with the inlet and the outlet.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Updike, for your
thank you.
clarifications. Any other questions from committee?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston,
Yes.
Patrick Kale,
Yes.
Marlon Coleman,
Yes.
Wayne Johnson,
Yes.
Ivory Van,
Yes.
Derek Reed,
Yes.
Dan Hall,
Yes.
Jamie Stout,
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3.
Consider awarding a contract to the lowest best bid, Tonto Environmental LLC, for biosolid removal, hauling, and disposal in the amount of 0.0464 per gallon, not to exceed $111,415 for agricultural land application from the City of Muskogee Pollution Control Plant, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Riley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and committee, this is our yearly bid for removing biosolids. Biosolids are formerly known as sludge. It's just a nicer way of saying that. The bids were good, and we're very happy with it. This will be used as needed to remove what we need from the plant throughout the next year. And we recommend approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions from committee? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 3 passes. Item number 4.
Consider approval to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute a quitclaim deed from the city of Muskogee to York Properties LLC for property located on South York Street, more particularly described in the deed, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, in the background of this agenda item, this is a request for a quitclaim deed to correct a title issue for some property on South York. Back in 2011, the city entered into a contract with the owner of this property for the purchasing temporary right-of-way and the structure. Some of you who were here back in 2011 may remember there was a house that was bisected by the right-of-way. So effectively, it was built on the right-of-way. And so in order to do the South York widening project, we had to demolish that house. So back then, we did a contract for the sale of the structure. We filed a copy of that contract with the county records, with the Muskogee County Records Division, for purposes of articulating that we were in fact purchasing that property for purposes of demolition so that we could construct South York. Well, fast forward to 2019, the property owner of that area is attempting to sell what they own, which is on the other side, which is to the west side of South York. And during a title search, they determined that the contract for the sale of the structure had a provision in it that indicated that it was for real property. So it didn't, the title of the document said structure, references in the document said structure, but there was one reference that said real property and improvements. And so what the title company has determined is that that provision clouds title. And so they have requested that we issue a quitclaim deed granting them that property back. It was never our intent to fully purchase that property. Rather, we needed a temporary easement in order to tear the house down, all of which have expired and the house has been removed. South York, as you all know, has been completed for many years. So we're asking for authority to execute that quitclaim deed to correct that cloud on the title so that these folks can sell the property that they own adjacent to it. Happy to answer any questions.
Did it cost the city any money to purchase that property at the time?
Yes, we spent about $30,000 in order to acquire the temporary right-of-way and the structure.
Okay. And how big is this piece of property? I was looking again.
I think it's 0.13 acres.
So not a whole lot there, is there?
But the city's stance is it's not our property.
Right.
We're just cleaning up
Yeah.
housekeeping.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes?
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
No?
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 4 passes. That concludes our Public Works Committee meeting. We had no citizens that had signed up to speak, so that will conclude our meeting.
We will call to order the special call meeting of Muskogee City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Here?
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
Item number 1.
Consider the appointment of Mike Stewart to the Civil Service Commission, filling the vacancy of the city's appointee beginning March 5th, 2019, and ending February the 28th, 2025, or take other necessary action.
This is my item and my recommendation, and I want to move forward and recommend Mike Stewart for this position. He's back from his cruise, he's retired, and he needs something to do. And he is a great public servant for us for 42 years.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 2.
Consider an executive session to discuss and take possible action on the following. A, pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25, Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the pending tort claim of Kenneth Carrier, and if necessary, take appropriate action in open session.
We entertain a motion for the executive session.
Move to go into executive session.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Any comment or question? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries. We will consider ourselves in executive session. Now call the meeting back to order. Return from executive session. Roll call.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Here.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Jamie Stout. Here. Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Patrick Kale.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
Item 2A, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the City Council did convene an executive session to discuss the tort claim of Kenneth Carrier. After being briefed on the status of that claim and the likelihood of liability, I believe an appropriate motion would be to authorize the city attorney to negotiate a settlement with Mr. Carrier within the confines of that established in executive session, and if appropriate, authorize the filing of a friendly suit.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Patrick Kale.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries, and that concludes our agenda. Thank you.